What does it really take to rise in a world built on danger, money, and power, and still earn respect? In the ruthless, male-dominated world of Mexican drug cartels, one woman did the unthinkable. She stepped out of the shadows and became a legend. Her name was Sandra Ávila Beltrán, but the world would know her as La Reina del Pacífico, the Queen of the Pacific. Her story is full of twists, beauty mixed with brutality, charm mixed with danger, and success followed by dramatic fall. How did one woman climb so high in a world ruled by men? What made her so powerful, and what led to her downfall? Welcome to the Narco Files. If you love real stories about crime, power, and the people who dared to defy the rules, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss our deep dives into the hidden world of the cartels. Let's begin. 1. Born into narco royalty, Sandra Ávila Beltrán was born on October 16, 1960, in Baja California, Mexico. From the very start, her life was surrounded by the shadows and power of the drug world. Her family had deep connections in the narcotics trade, which meant Sandra inherited both a network of influence and the dangers that came with it. This early exposure would shape her future, earning her the nickname La Reina del Pacífico, or the Queen of the Pacific, for her eventual reputation in the drug world. Growing up, Sandra moved in circles most people would fear. She attended elite schools, went to luxurious events, and rubbed shoulders with influential figures. At the same time, she saw the dark side of her world. Shootouts, money being counted in secret, and the constant presence of weapons. From a young age, she learned that power could come from unexpected places, that influence wasn't just in offices or boardrooms, but also in the streets. Sandra showed ambition early, studying journalism and learning to navigate both social and dangerous worlds. She became skilled at moving between glamour and danger, a combination that would later define her life. Her upbringing made one thing clear. To survive in her world, you had to be smart, fearless, and willing to take risks. This early life set the stage for her rise in a world where very few women dared to enter. 2. Entering the undergrowth. From socialite to fixer, Sandra Ávila Beltrán didn't become La Reina del Pacífico overnight. Her rise was gradual, strategic, and calculated, shaped by family ties and connections she had grown up with. Unlike many women in the narcotics world, who were often seen as accessories or sidelines, Sandra moved with purpose. She built relationships, observed the business closely, and learned how power worked in both social and criminal circles. Her work connected her to some of the most powerful cartels of the time, including Mexico's Sinaloa cartel and Colombia's Norte del Valle cartel. Sandra operated as a middle figure in large shipments, coordinating logistics and ensuring deals ran smoothly. She also used front businesses, like guest worker visas and cargo operations, to move product discreetly, showing her intelligence and adaptability. What truly set her apart was her strategic role. She didn't simply follow instructions. She negotiated supply arrangements, managed contacts, and made important decisions. Sandra became known for her ability to navigate dangerous waters while maintaining influence and respect. In a male-dominated world, she carved out a position of real power, proving that women could operate not only within the shadows, but at the center of the action. Her early work laid the foundation for the legend of La Reina del Pacífico. 3. The crown moment, earning the title. Queen of the Pacific. Sandra Ávila Beltrán's nickname, La Reina del Pacífico, wasn't just a catchy title. It reflected her real influence and daring in the drug world. It is reported that she was linked to a fleet of tuna boats used to transport tons of cocaine from Mexico's Pacific coast to the United States. This operation required coordination, intelligence, and connections, showing that her role went far beyond being a passive player. She became a bridge between Mexican and Colombian cartels, managing relationships that most people, even men, found difficult to navigate. By the early 2000s, Sandra had expanded her reach. Her power was no longer local, it was regional, touching multiple territories and networks. She was involved in large-scale shipments, money laundering, and strategic deals, and she maintained close ties with high-ranking figures in the cartel world. Her name became widely known, mentioned in narco corridos, newspapers, and media reports, adding to her growing legend. That legend worked both ways. It protected her by giving her a fearsome reputation, but it also made her a target for law enforcement and rivals. 4. Living on the edge. Power, violence, and excess. In Sandra Ávila Beltrán's world, business and violence were inseparable. She grew up seeing both luxury and danger, and as she climbed higher, the stakes became even bigger. Her life included lavish parties on private jets, armed shootouts, kidnappings, and betrayals. One of the most dramatic moments came when her son was kidnapped. She reportedly paid a ransom of $5 million, an act that brought intense attention from law enforcement and highlighted just how risky her life had become. Her lifestyle was extravagant, with private jets, luxury cars, and expensive jewelry. But Sandra didn't see it as mere display. She considered it a statement of her power and belonging in a world dominated by men. She once explained, "If you do cocaine yourself, the men think you're just another disposable woman." She carefully avoided drug use, knowing that respect in this world was earned through strategy and intelligence, not indulgence or recklessness. Despite the danger, Sandra believed she could navigate the world with skill and control, not chaos. Her life was a balancing act between fear, power, and survival, and every decision she made reflected her ambition to rise above limitations in a male-dominated empire. 5. The crack in the throne. Arrest, extradition, and downfall. Everything in the narco world has an expiration date, and for Sandra Ávila Beltrán, that day came in the 2000s. After years of operating in the shadows, she was arrested on 28 September 2007 in Mexico City for money laundering and organized crime. Her capture marked a turning point in her life, ending years of freedom and high-risk power. Sandra's legal journey was long and complicated. In 2012, she was extradited to the United States to face certain charges. Some allegations were dropped, while others remained, meaning her time in the legal system was far from simple. She eventually served her sentence and was released from Mexican prison in early 2015. While her arrest and imprisonment signaled the end of her control and mythic status in the underworld, her legend lived on. Stories of La Reina del Pacífico continue to circulate in media, songs, and popular culture, cementing her place in narco history as one of the most intriguing figures the world had ever seen. 6. The aftermath and reinvention. After her release from prison, Sandra Ávila Beltrán stepped away from the full narco public life and tried to create a new version of herself. She gave interviews, reflecting on her past, sharing stories of violence, power, and survival. She admitted to very little regret, showing that she viewed her actions as part of a world where only the strong survived. Even though she withdrew from active criminal life, the world continued to watch and talk about her. Hollywood drew inspiration from her story, with shows like Narcos, Mexico dramatizing events connected to her life. Her name continued to appear in news stories, documentaries, and cultural conversations, reminding everyone of her influence. Sandra's legacy is complicated. She is remembered as a woman who claimed power in a male-dominated, violent world. navigating danger with intelligence and strategy. La Reina del Pacífico remains both feared and fascinating. A queen whose story blends ambition, risk, and secrecy. 7. What her story teaches us. Sandra Ávila Beltrán's life teaches lessons that go beyond headlines. Power doesn't follow gender. She proved that a woman could operate in a world ruled by men, as long as she had the right network and strong will. Ambition and danger go hand in hand. Her story shows how quickly influence and control can turn into risk and peril. Her nickname, Queen of the Pacific, wasn't just a title. It shaped her myth. In organized crime, the story you tell about yourself can become part of your power, and Sandra understood that well. Yet, the cost was high. Many around her lost their lives, alliances crumbled, and law enforcement eventually closed in. Today, her legacy is complicated. She may live free, but the empire she built is gone. The legend of La Reina del Pacífico remains, a reminder of ambition, intelligence, and the price of living on the edge. 8. Why this story still resonates. Sandra Ávila Beltrán is one of the rare women who reached the top ranks of the Mexican drug world. Her name has become part of popular culture, inspiring movies, songs, and TV shows. And people around the world recognize her as La Reina del Pacífico. Her story is more than crime. It is a mix of violence, glamour, corruption, power, and gender. It shows how one person can navigate a dangerous world and rise where most would fail. What makes her story compelling isn't that it celebrates crime, but that it reveals human ambition in its extreme form. Sandra's life demonstrates how drive, intelligence, and connections can open doors even in male-dominated worlds, but also how quickly that power can turn dangerous. Her rise and fall remind us that with great influence comes high risk, and her legend lives on as a cautionary tale of ambition, risk, and survival in a world few dare to enter. Sandra Ávila Beltrán's life is not a path anyone should follow. She broke laws, caused pain, and made choices with huge consequences. Yet her story shows what it takes to enter a world few women dare to touch and to leave a mark in it. She challenged the rules of society, gender, and crime itself. Her rise and fall remind us that power built on fear doesn't last forever. Today, the Queen of the Pacific lives in reflection, not empire. But her story, her legend, remains. If you found this deep dive interesting, like this video, subscribe to the Narco Files, and turn on the bell so you never miss our explorations of the real stories behind the headlines. What surprised you most about Sandra Ávila Beltrán's story? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for watching.